Hello, hello, Doc. How you doing? Are you well? Hope you're well. How is everybody who may or may not be here? Preferably the people who are here, then they can answer and hear what I just said. You're well, fantastic. Yeah. How's all going? What with the panic buying and such? In the world of retail, you slept for a long time. Yes, I saw. That's quite a considerable feat. That is something I can only dream of, ironically. Yes. Well, I hope you feel rested at the very least. Well, catching up with you, yes, I can imagine. It's all a bit of a kerfuffle. He says, as somebody immune from this, feel kind of bad. Yeah. All your aches and pains have gone. Fantastic. That's excellent news. Good to know. Yes. So, game. Noodle Gear Solid. We are doing the Noodle Gear Solid draw through. Let us switch over to the last thing that we saw last time, which was Noodle happily walking through a snowfield until a small red dot appeared. We've seen one of these before. It didn't end well. It's a Chibi. Hello. How you doing? Excellently, I hope. It's you. Yeah. There's the Hello. It's always there somewhere. Yes. Hello. Oh dear. What was it? I managed to fit uwu into a sentence at some point. Something like... No, I can't remember what it was. Anyway, did alright working on your Easter pal? Yeah, that's cool. I like the little Sir Rabbit. Sir Rabbit. Sir Rabbit? 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 Yeah. You're on your iPad watching so you can work, all with your screen... I'm looking at the wrong thing. You're on your iPad watching so you can work with all your screen state. Ilu luck. Well, I hope you're having a good time. Brave, brave, brave Sir Rabbit. Indeed. Yes. Drawthrough. It's the Noodle Gear Solid. So last time we got to a communications tower. We went up it. We went down it. Albeit on the outside. We then went up the other one. Shot down a helicopter. Then went down again. And now we're out. So yay. Yeah. But little slight issue, what with the red dot and such. Come on. Now, my keyboard does this occasionally. Just waiting for it to process some actual... There we go. That's better. So, what does Noodle do in this situation? Is it... I think this is from Kung Pao, isn't it? Is it option A? Do we dodge to the side, hunker down, take out a gun, and shoot the assailant? Or do you option B, get shot in the chest and fall down? Should probably do option A. Unfortunately, he does option B. You got it. Luckily, he's wearing some sort of bullet-resistant armor, so there's a loud bang, but it doesn't do an awful lot of damage. So yeah, he gets shot. I'm sure you can imagine that. I don't precisely know how to... I think he does like a backwards somersault or something and lands face first into the snow. It's not a great time. Then he gets up and hides behind a snowdrift over here. So let's... If anybody wants a recap of what happened last time, or indeed in any of the previous streams, do let me know. Because a lot of stuff... We're getting nearish the end of the game, and as a consequence, a lot of things that we've seen are going to start coming into play that you may have forgotten about. I'll try and remember you. Dance his troubles away. I mean, it's kind of a dance, being sort of flung backwards by a bullet. So yeah, it's just sort of... Getting down, this is definitely in perspective, yeah? No. Oh, big head this time, usually quite small. Actually, normal sized head, small body. This is why I drew the snowbank here, because you have to hide behind it in order to not get shot. Which I think is a generally good thing to do. Wait, this is near the end of the game. Not really, no. I think in the original game, this is the last part of Disc 1. But that doesn't mean that Disc 2 is the same size as Disc 1, it just means this is the last part. You gotta look after those resources on a CD. The CD has very little capacity. It's amazing how they managed to fit anything on it. Chat, stop stopping scrolling. Yeah. So yeah, we've got a decent amount left. A decent amount of stuff happens, but we're sort of halfway through resources, I suppose. Which, if you look at it from a meta concept, means that you probably know that we're not going to be going backwards again. The amount of times we've gone backwards. Well, we're not going to be going backwards from here, anyway. You missed multi-disc games, it really helped hammer how much you had left to hype it up. Yes. And then you got something like the Final Fantasy games, where the last disc was just sort of very little. It was just like the end scenario, and that's it. Because it's an open world game, and as a consequence, you have to have the entire open world on the next disc as well, and so on and so forth. But yeah, it was nice until you scratched disc 3 of disc 4 of 4 discs, and then everything gets very annoying. This is almost a drawing, so yeah. So for some reason, our reaction when we get shot is to phone someone up. So, I mean, this, you know, call an ambulance, but this isn't not feasible in this particular scenario. And thus you will never complete Legend of Dragoon. Oh no, I'm sure there's a digital version somewhere. Like on Steam or Humble Bundle or what have you. Ah, someone mentioned a JRPG. Kiro's here. Yay! God Gamer Kiro. She will tell you how to platinum it. You bought a PS3? Yeah, maybe not. Oh, it's a PS3. Why are the games that were on the PS3 are just doomed to never be played ever again? You like RPGs? It's good. It's nice to have stuff like that you like. It's only on the PS Store on the PS3. I know. It's give me Demon Souls. Anyway, we phoned someone up. Where's my phone sound? Give me my phone sound. Nah, I never get the timing of that right. No, I forgot about that. Not quite as scary as the in-game one, but there we are. Let's get rid of that. And we phone up Colonel Corn, because we've just been shot. So Noodle's having an out-of-body experience. Pretty much, he has just been shot, so it's fair. I need to move that somewhere that it's not going to get in the way. Which means they have the bloody game, just to put it on PC, you did that with FF7. It's... yeah. They will eventually. Why do we always phone Colonel Corn? Because he's the person who's in charge of this mission. I don't know. Also, why is our head so small? Anyway. So, I don't trust him. That's fair. He's not told us about the whole Metal Gear X thing. Despite the fact that he sent us into the place where a new nuclear weapon is being developed. Yeah, anyway. So... yeah, we phone him and we say, Colonel, I've just been shot. That's not great. And he says, well, you got a sniper rifle. You know what to do. You are then interrupted, because this is an open channel for some reason, by Uwu, Dr. Uwu Weeb, SMRT. think he'll pop when things heat up. Who says, Snake, do you remember when I was saying earlier about love and stuff? Can you like not kill BLT if at all possible? I know she's shooting at you, and I know she said that she's going to kill you. But I kind of, we've developed a bond. We looked after the dogs together. She's a nice person. Can you find a way around this rather than killing her? Thirsty trash boy. To which we respond, I'm being shot at with a sniper rifle. If you were in my situation, you would do the same thing. And he gets all upset. He doesn't like the idea of the only person he's actually got on with in this whole terrorist uprising. A little bit of Stockholm Syndrome, I guess. But, yeah, so we basically say, no, we're probably going to have to shoot this person to death. Because that's basically what they say. They said we do. No, that's what they said that they would do to us. That's the one. And she's trying to kill you, but she's really hard. Looking at anime hard, yes. So yeah. So we end the call prematurely. Boom. And we get out our snippler riffle. So let's move this up here. That, do this, close you, call you 8. This is the 8th stream we're doing of this. Really doesn't feel like 8. But it is. How far had we gotten in the Forest of Doom by 8 streams? I'm interested. Snip le riffle. Yes. It's like what I keep saying, le bon fille. Confuses oobs. Confuse. It's an oobs! Ah! As if I'm magic. How you doing? So yeah, and now it is time. It's alright, yeah! How did the bread turn out, by the way? I know you said it was crunchy, but you hadn't tried it since, or at that time. Compact. Ooh. Handy for travelling purposes. How do people snip? There's snow, so I don't have to worry too much about joints. Wrong translation, dense. No, you were right first time. I was just trying to make a positive out of it. People snip with scissors usually. Scissors less likely to work over long range. Can you make that work? Yeah, okay, let's try. Hang on. Let's get creative, let's get inventive. This is dangerous. He's got protective gloves. Do not hold scissors by the blade. It is not a sensible thing to do. Don't even have long-range scissors. Colonel Cord sending us out there on it. Yep, I know. We didn't have anything. We didn't have a sock. We didn't have a ladle. It was terrible. Gonna make do. Luckily, we found this pair of scissors when we picked up the rope. Otherwise, how would we get off it? You can also use a remote-controlled missiles there. Oh, can you? Ah, that's interesting. I guess it makes sense. They're remote-controlled. They're long-range. Seems unfair to use missiles in a rifle fight. I mean, I guess. Is fairness a thing here? So yeah, we're doing the old David and Goliath slingshot thing with a pair of scissors. Just flinging rocks. The mathematician's shorthand for, and then there's some stuff, and then we carry on. It's not what Stowe looks like. Close enough. Perspective. You are a active. Oh, it's so clever when you try and turn your very dumb comments into a drawing. It's one of the first rules of improv. Never say no. Always say yes and. Then you make it work. Which is why I still regret not turning the floor into lava that one time. How do bodies? How do guns? There's another one. The age-old problem for somebody who decided to draw a game all about gunplay and weapons and military vehicles. We haven't even seen Metal Gear Rex yet. Sake's the kind of person who does NG+5 with only a level 1 club. Oh dear. Would not wish that on anyone. That said, I have watched somebody beat Ludwig from Bloodborne. New game +7, fists only. Which is, I wouldn't want to do that in the normal game, fists only, let alone head of hands. That said, I have never died to Ludwig, so can't complain. Giving you a gun robot practice now. Give a gun and robot. What am I doing? That's sort of like where the arm, like that, yeah. And then there's a trigger or something. She's left-handed. It's fine. That's not where that goes. Out of gun. We haven't even drawn her yet. This is all just sort of structure. You'll be pleased to know she is not out in a snowfield wearing her previously revealing outfit. I believe she is wearing something slightly warmer now. She's got like a whiff for it. So boobs are at least not freezing off. I mean, I can't attest to that, but they're less likely to, let's put it that way. Hang on. We there, then have the hand there, then we can have the finger there. And then it all works out. See? I know what I'm doing. That is not a guarantee that I know what I'm doing. Any liability is your own. Yeah, so she's wearing sort of like cold weather gear and such. At least in warmer places, yes. Only let boobs hang inside, or at least in warmer places. I mean, yeah. If only she'd have waited a little bit. because soon we'll be going to a warmer place. Yeah. So there's a bit of a fight. Ensues, much pewing, many diazepam tablets being chugged. I was having a drink there. I wasn't having diazepam. So yeah, and eventually, assuming you can somehow wrangle your way through the slightly awkward aiming mechanics, you defeat her. Kapew! If you have too many, you die. Do you? I didn't know that. I mean, in the game. I imagine if you have too many of anything, that's probably the definition of too many, isn't it? Whoa, all that. A pen just fell off something. Don't worry. You probably didn't even hear it. So yeah, you defeat... It's kind of annoying that sort of like the big moments in this game are things I can't draw because they're combat sequences, and I'm sure you can get the idea from this excellent tableau. You had something. Yes, it was me going, ah! I'm also glad it was a pen. There's a possibility of it could have been an accordion. Not an accordion, what am I talking about? Harmonica. If it was an accordion, you definitely would have heard it. You shoot a rock right into her gun, the gun explodes. That's, yeah. Or it goes through the sight, and then she's just sort of useless. Sort of shatters. And then slowly but surely you just sort of whittle her health down by throwing pebbles. So yeah. You do the fight and she dies. Well, she doesn't die. She is mortally wounded. And so in the spirit of games where the evil people have to have some sort of monologue, you go over to her body and you have a little chat. Like we did with James Bondage. So it was. Kind of. It's quite a long sequence, this. She says a lot. I do kind of recommend looking it up because it is quite... It's informative, because there's a lot of stuff political that I didn't know about until I decided to look this up. So if you want to learn about war crimes, do that. No. So yeah, she essentially talks about her life, how she got to this point, so on and so forth. She is Kurdish, I believe. And the Kurds have historically not had a fantastic time, what with the being chased out of countries and killed and such. And she talks about how her childhood was essentially spent running from people killing them. She'd wake up every day and someone else would be dead, and so on and so forth. I can't draw mouths. Woe is me. That was it. Was it? Ooh is me? I can't remember. Yeah, ooh is me. Oh yeah. Something I thought of today and didn't say because why would I? Ooh is me. So yeah, and she talks about how does anyone have a nice background? Not in this. These are anti-war games essentially. The stories of them. So no one's going to be happy. No one's going to have lived a good life. And I better. Or as hell, indeed. So yeah, and she talks about all that sort of stuff, and she makes a lot of analogies about how she was treated like her and her people were treated like animals, like dogs, so on and so forth, until she was taken in by somebody in some sort of militant capacity, and she saw everyone else sort of fighting and all that sort of stuff, but she became a sniper, and for the first time she could actually see what was happening from the outside, and saw war is hell, quelle surprise. People only die when in Zanzibar, exactly. Are we in Zanzibar? Lots of people have died so far. So yeah, she started to see just, you know, how horrible everything is and all that sort of stuff. And then eventually, for whatever reason, she joined this mercenary group, and she feels like she sort of betrayed her heritage, and she's no longer she's tiny. Look at her. She's no longer a proud wolf as she once was. She's now just a dog for hire, so on and so forth. Metaphors. Still quite small. A bit of a big forehead. Still pretty. It's fine. I think probably I should cover one of her eyes, which is inconvenient for the purposes of sniping, but does look good. It's fine, don't worry about it. Yeah, so she's wearing puffy clothing and such. Also some red. She's not going to snipe if she's dead. True. Good point. So we're here. I think I've drawn this in exactly the same way as I drew the James Bondage scene. Only we don't have CC here anymore, for obvious reasons. So yeah, she talks about all that stuff and how she sort of lost her family, and she feels like she's betrayed her upbringing and all that sort of stuff, and how war is horrible, horrible, horrible. Zanzibar is a state of mind. I believe we're in Alaska, but who knows? There may be a Zanzibar in Alaska. And we sort of comfort her a little bit by saying, basically, you're not a dog. You weren't just sort of following the orders. You made your own decisions. You could have killed CC when you had the chance, but you didn't. You let her live. You know, you kind of did good things, kind of, even though you shot lots of people. As a soldier with an independent mind, you kind of did good things. So don't die thinking that you failed, etc., etc. Apparently, we also know stuff about the Kurds, which I don't, unfortunately, so I can't tell you what it was. I think he says something about there's a word in Kurdish. Noodle has a PhD in crouching next to people and comforting them in their dying moments. He's had a lot of practice. He's been to Zanzibar, after all. There are words in Kurdish. Yeah. You may or may not already know that, Noodle. Just at that point, Zoop, Mr. Invisible Cloak pops in. He's not happy about the situation. She calls herself a dog of war. He tells her that she's not a dog, she's a wolf. Yes, exactly. Because her name in the game is based on wolf. They're all named after animals, etc., etc. What with the Noodle and such, and Funbird. Funbird 3. So yeah, because our friend here has an invisibility cloak. Or it's stealth camouflage, or whatever it's called. It's slightly Spheel-ish, but Oh yeah, he doesn't have gloves, does he? Darn. That's not where thumbs go. Ooh, it doesn't look so uwu anymore. No. Like, what's an uwu sort of crying? Like the T, I guess. He just looks bored. Don't call me that. So yeah. He's not happy, and he's like, "Oh no, why did you have to do that?" And she says, "Well, I'm a soldier. What with the whole Wolfie thing? Did you not hear? Were you not here for the analogy? T to the power of T. It's a lot of T. So she has a request before she dies. Over here. Over here is one last time. Her snippler riffle. Her request is that she has it by her side as she dies, because it's sort of her only companion, as it were. So Snake picks it up, puts it on her body. It's not going to end well, is it? That'll do. And then what do you do with a dog/wolf that is in pain and dying? Well, if we had a gun, we could do that. So instead, we're going to have to beat her to death with a sock. Oh, we have a pair of scissors, I suppose. A little bit gruesome. Okay, we'll split the difference. So Noodle asks Uwu to look the other way. Much banging and bashing is heard off screen. And finally she is put out of her misery, and Noodle puts the handkerchief that he was given before on her face. It's now a little bit bloody. What with the ladling and such? Could you not just shoot with a gun? We don't have a gun. Oh no, we have a sniper rifle, but it's like shooting sniper rifle point blank, like the head's going to explode, isn't it? We don't have a close range gun, so we had to do it with the ladle. It's a brutal game. War is hell. You shoot her in the heart. The chest would explode. Her chest has been through enough. Yeah, we have a sock, yeah. So I'd also feel horrible. It's a bit dark. So yeah, Uwu gets upset and has to leave. He gets all crying and emotional. And so he says, well, I need to, or Noodle says, I need to carry on into the secret underground base, which is conveniently right here. If you're going to be with me, you know, I mean, I'm going to Metal Gear X, so if you could possibly find out some information on how I'm supposed to get the other card keys to disarm. That's tiny little room. What's this? Better. New item added. Bloody ladle. Yeah, it's Dark Souls 2. Yay. Yeah, so he said if, you know, we're going to this Rex thing, I have one of the 3 card keys I need to actually turn this thing off. Go away, research that if you're going to help me. Sorry about the whole death thing, but she died content being the sniper that she was, I guess. I don't know. And so ends the Ballad of BLT. Rip. Although if you want a depressing evening, I do recommend looking up the history of the Kurds. It's not a great time. Still kind of going on. Ripping pieces, yes. Well, that would be if we used the sniper rifle. Or did we lose the sniper rifle? They took the sniper rifle away after the torture because we didn't use it before we used the scissors, didn't we? Yes, rest in peace. I believe some dogs come along at this point and sniff the handkerchief or something. I don't know. They're just around. There's howling wolves in the background, obviously, for atmosphere. I'm not drawing a wolf. We're fine. Don't worry about it. They howl, yes. Oh, etc. And we progress. Bingo bongo. Right. What does that mean? So, where do we progress to? We progress to the underground base. Insert disc 2, please. Ooh. Looks a little bit like a deer in that silhouette. They also attack you now if you get too close to them since you don't have the handkerchief. Yes, you got rid of the handkerchief. He gives a reason, but I can't remember what it is. As to why you get rid of that. I guess it's another reason to believe you're not going to go backwards. Yes. So, hang on. Let me grab this. Boom. This too, yay! He said he's given this back to his owner, I think. Could be wrong. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, so Uwu's ill-fated love, presumably not reciprocated, because when you said, does she mention Uwu? And I said, kind of. I don't think she talks to him or refers to him at all. He's just sort of there crying. So I think it's definitely not reciprocated. But, that sounds about right for Uwu. It's a bit prejudicial, but there we go. Right, so we progress, and where do we go after the ice level? You'd been really surprised if it was. Yeah, she didn't care. She was a sniper trying to kill people. We go into, of course, something I need to draw. The blast furnace. Because they've got one of these here. They forge their own stuff, I guess. Forging your own steel. There's like sort of big vats of blast furnace, yes. Which is actually the name of this piece of music you're hearing in the background. There's like sort of bubbling vats of something or other. Lots of fires. There are flames sort of shooting up. I think there is lava for some reason. It's a weird place. It's probably molten metal, but, you know, feels like lava. And there are weird platforming segments where you've got to sort of sidle across very precarious ledges. That's what I'm drawing here is the only thing I really remember about this area. Lots of red and heat, lots of hazards, yes. So it makes a change from being outside in the cold, I guess. That's more like it. Tiny head. That's what I'm expecting. Let's get cracking. It's just nice. It's kind of nice when you sort of have a game like this to sort of realize that it does sort of break down into, oh, there's the snow level, and then there's the fire level, and then... As modern and sophisticated as it may be, they still need to add some sort of diversity to the world design, otherwise it feels like you're going through the same area every time. Which it kind of does, to be honest. But some parts are green, some parts are blue, some parts are red. Got to have at least a nominal diversity in visual design. I like how long it usually takes me to draw hands for comics and stuff. But when I really don't care about what it looks like, I can do it in like 5 seconds. Look at them. It's like October. There we go, right. I didn't say I can draw them well, so I can get them down. Yeah, so we're here now. I believe there's like a weird thing. There's like a sort of... You just sidle along a really thin platform. And then there's like a crane or something that sort of... Ooh. Sort of moving along as well, and you've got to duck out of the way and all these sorts of things. I'm glad. Hopefully, if you're following me on Patreon, it should be next week I start releasing them. If not, the week after. I've just today finished some little teaser drawings for the people who don't know that it's a thing, which is anyone who doesn't follow me on Patreon. Or doesn't support me, sorry, rather. Yeah. And I'm working on a sort of little cast thing, sort of group of a bunch of characters together to sort of go, hey, look, this is the kind of thing you can expect. Yeah. Hopefully people like it. It's been a very long time since I've done a comic like this. Yeah. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, wait. You'll know soon enough. So yeah, there's lots of this sort of thing. Everything's made out of sort of plate metal and sort of loosely riveted together, as you'd expect. Yeah, and you travel through this area. That's what happens. It's exciting. It really is. Haven't drawn a lot of the areas that we've been through so far, because usually something happens in them. And very little happens here. So, we move on from the blast furnace to, you guessed it, another elevator. Only this time, it's a slightly different one. It is a diagonal elevator. Look at that wonderfully jagged straight line. It goes diagonal for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. And there's also... I guess I should keep with our continuity. So normally there would be birds flying around. But I suppose we should... How do ostriches do? I mean, this is kind of spoiling what's coming up, but... but you know... It be burb. I suppose there are several of them. There's this one sort of... How do their beaks work? I don't know. If there's ostriches, our Noodle's gonna lose because they're lethal. They don't do anything, they're just sort of around. They're just hanging out, having a good time, you know, the old Alaskan ostrich. Poodles! I wasn't gonna say anything. What do their beaks look like? Oh no, hang on, yeah, they're kind of like... like that sort of thing. Can you believe to learn I don't know how to draw an ostrich? It's fine. Noddle now boodle. That's an anime, isn't it? So yeah, you're going down on your lift. While you're going down on your lift, you get a call. Ah, I did never get the timing right. There it is. Not from Uwu. He's still crying, probably. But from... Convenient Glasses. Do you remember him? He's the person who... Convenient, yes. He is our previous master, person who taught us stuff. He raises dogs in the Arctic or whatever. Yeah, and he phones up and says, hey, Noodle, you know you keep getting interrupted during your phone calls and people just keep sort of bursting in and stuff like that. You know you can set it to private, right? To which we go, oh no, I didn't know that. That's cool. And he says, do you mind doing that for a sec? I want to talk to you about something. So, okay. So he switches to private. And he says... Do you remember earlier when you were looking down at a patch of blood where Cece was? And, old, what's her name? Valen. Old Valen was talking about her grandfather who used to work for the US government trying to root out mafia things, worked as a spy and all that sort of stuff. Well, did a little bit of digging. And, that doesn't make sense. Because the thing that she said happened actually happened 2 years later than that. There wasn't actually any knowledge or undercover operations occurring at that time involving these things. In fact, the problems that were trying to be solved hadn't yet arisen. So on and so forth. Can you tell that I remember all the details? Point being, what she said doesn't make sense. And I'm a little worried that somebody who claimed not to have any family and then suddenly mentioned that they did have some family that they just sort of forgot to talk about, and then it turns out that that information doesn't actually align with what happened, might be a bit of an issue when we're on such an important mission and she's the chief scientific officer associated to it. Dr. Violet is suspicious. How surprising. I know. I know. So it says, just want to let you know, I'm doing some digging. She's a bit suspicious. Don't trust her just yet. I'll look into it. I'll see what I can find. Just be careful. Let me go. Okay, sure. Should I be worried about the fact that she was the person who injected me with lots of stuff before this mission started? Nah, should be fine. Don't worry about it. Carry on. So, we end the call, and... we have an end call? We do have an end call. There it is. And our lift continues down the pace. The slow lift, hence the phone call. Probably just drugs. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I mean, how many diazepam have you had so far? What with the slingshots? I wouldn't worry about it. So yeah, we continue down, and now, having done the fire level, we return to the ice level. Hang on. No, don't do that. Go, no, shush. Boom. Let me just quickly save and have a drink. And so for some reason, they decide to put some sort of freezer area underneath the snowfields of Alaska, but also underneath the blast furnace. Don't know why they didn't just put it above the blast furnace, but there we are. I suppose you got to vent out the heat from the blast furnace. Why didn't you put the blast furnace above ground? I don't know. So yeah, we're now in a freezer area, and there's lots of big boxes and stuff. This actually extends far further away. It's quite a big area. Lots of food to be stocked for lots of soldiers and such. And there's like big boxes and all arranged in a rough grid pattern. Good for establishing perspective. You get the idea. They're all wobbly and bendy. Why is there a guy called Solid Snake? There are a lot of questions in this game. We haven't met anyone called Solid Snake so far. But use excess heat from the furnace to help heat the facility. I believe above the blast furnace is just a storeroom. So... yeah. Anyway, we go into this place. This is to indicate that it is cold, and that occasionally Noodle likes to whistle. It's a sticker. What? Crying zombie. As you do. What a strange design. Is that for a game, or is it just there? And now you know? Is that what you wanted to know what it was? Not gonna lie, it's probably one of your least favourite parts to play, just something about the segment always made you anxious, the gameplay stuff. That's fair. That is possibly the worst drawing I've done of Noodle, but there we are. There's a lot of competition on that one. Marginally improved. What's that about polishing a turd? Thought it was a cloud or something because there's other weather ones. Oh, I see. Yeah, no, I don't. Oh, look at that one. That's nice, isn't it? Happy sun break. Oh, it's on its break. Praise the sun. Yes, indeed. Ooh. Zombie unicorn, as you do. This must be for a thing, right? Ooh, wow. My word. There's grumpy sunbreak. Oh, it's a mug. Oh, I see. Oh, look at that grumpy sun. And look at that strawberry. That's a lot of sparks. That took a lot of sparks. A nice strawberry there. Still think the rock and the panda, they're my favourites. It's an incredibly happy strawberry. Too happy. I wonder what's going on. They know something we don't? Lean forward to look a little bit less like he's goose stepping. Yeah. What did our Noodle get up to? Stream time has become FaceTime in these times. Oh no. Well, I hope you had a good time anyway. Okay, quick recap. We fought a sniper with a improvised slingshot made out of a pair of scissors. Can't remember why did we use scissors? Can't remember. We then had to kill her with a ladle. Uwu was not happy with that. Thence, that's just an empty layer. We can get rid of that. Then we had to insert disc 2. Snip le riffle. Oh, snip, that was it, yes. Then we went to a blast furnace that's just kind of there. We then had a phone call next to some ostriches, saying that Varlan may not necessarily be speaking the truth about her family. But more on that later. And now we're walking into a freezer. Uwu is TWT right now. Uwu is twit. Varlan lied, I know. The dates don't line up. Something is suspicious. So, right. Now I need to draw things. Shocking news. So we are met again. Kill surprise. How many times have I said that this stream? With Funbird. Do you remember Funbird? He was in a tank last time we saw him. And oh yeah, no eyes. No eyes, only brows. She seems so honest and trustworthy. I know. Why is it when you have to design a t-shirt with text for a character, it either says bitch or fuck? I don't know, there's those characters. Basically it's something to write on Rag's chat. By the way, how is that pronounced? Is it Rag or Ra or Raf? Or Rach? Not gonna come up with pronunciation, that's fair enough. How do... Okay. I'm not good at drawing guns. How am I going to draw this? Call him uncle, you get a pass. That's fair enough. So yes, this is a... big old burly friend. And mystical, so on and so forth. Very much into the part of the Alaskan traditions and so on and so forth, Alaskan tribes, and goes on a bit of a speech about how the native Alaskan ostrich is one. This is disrespectful, isn't it? They have certain symbolisms and how you are representative of the snake, which they don't like for reasons, and how your life has been revolving around being a snake because bad things. Basically, he's telling you that he wants to fight, but that it's an honourable fight. It's all to do with a meeting of souls and it's a native Alaskan ostrich. Look, long story. Our main character is using a sock. You just got to take these things for granted. Why have I... No, don't do that. How do ostrich? There we go. So yes, the native Alaskan ostrich has this significance. This guy's face is covered in tattoos. I can't remember what the tattoos looked like last time. Let's have a quick peek. Flashback to when we saw them before. Wonderful. Nearly there. There they were. All burly. They were covered in ravens then, but they're just baby ostriches. Don't worry about it. Apparently the nipples were highlighted, but that's fine. That's about it, really. Also, everything was slightly greener then. Now we're in teal land. So yeah, there's a lot of sort of talk about sort of mysticism and fates and souls. Don't know what he wears on his feet. Should I say I made it through the Forest of Doom and all I got was this shirt. Cool. Something incredibly funny about you, about some serious burly tattooed guy just covered in baby ostriches. Yep. You gotta be one with nature, you know. There's the nipple. There's the framing thereof. This guy is not wearing anything at his top, so I guess his boobs are covered in a protective layer of muscle. So it's not something BLT had to worry about. He doesn't. One with nature, you know, nipple. Nipples are very important for the natural purposes of, you know. That's how the children are fed. And such. He only has trousers and his gun. Okay, so barefoot. Oh, it's got to be cold, isn't it? Oh, barefoot. Freezer. And shoes. No, no. You said only trousers and the gun. There's bare feet. Ooh. That kind of makes sense. There's claws. Bit hairy. The shaman, he has environmental resistances. Fair enough, yeah. So yeah, this scene is kind of... I'm not really the person to judge. I would say bordering tactful, but also bordering tactless with regards to like indigenous peoples and their beliefs and so on and so forth. Kind of done respectfully, but I don't know how well researched it is, etc. Got talons like his friends, yes. They also have talents. Is it obvious yet? I don't know how to draw an ostrich. 90s respectful, yes. I'm not sure about this scene, you need to research it more. The one about BLT being of the Kurdish people and their history and so on and so forth seemed to be relatively well researched. Although I'd argue they probably were a bit more worried about getting that right. Yeah, I didn't mention that. BLT was talking about how she was a Kurd and her upbringing basically revolved around trying to survive day to day and running away from people trying to kill her and her family and so on and so forth. This is faux history. They definitely did their research for several things, but yeah, it's not. I mean, the person before the last person we lent over the dead body of was psychic, so it's not exactly 100% realism. Also, the whole genome soldier thing, the sort of genetic manipulations and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Sorry, I should probably finish what this is. This is a minigun, I guess. Don't know why they call it a minigun, because they're quite big. A sort of Gatling gun sort of thing. And this is huge old barrel of bullets. I have probably drawn it too small. It's closer. This is the little outlet for bullets. Got to be at one with nature. Here's a Gatling gun. Ostriches, yeah, I like this. This could all be avoided if I just look up now what an ostrich looks like. But no, this is what we got. We've got fat swans with long necks, or longer necks. Yeah. So naturally, what this leads to is a fight. Now, let me just set the scene for you. Okay, so this is a top-down view of the room you're in, what with the boxes and such. It looks like he took the Gatling gun off a helicopter or some other huge machinery and is just using it himself. Yes, it's certainly not meant to be carried. With the ostrich head intact. So he sort of wanders around, looking through corridors and stuff. This sort of field of vision, and you're sort of down here. If he sees you, he fires his gun. So you've just sort of got to run around, go here, oh no, he saw me, and then sort of run elsewhere. It's a big sort of mazy thing. I think if you're sort of far enough away, he might not be able to see you, maybe. At which point you can take out your trusty slingshot, scissors, and do your business. He walks around, he sort of chases you if he sees you. But other things you can do, you can plant mines if you manage to pick any up at this point. He gets faster as he gets wounded. Interesting, I didn't know that. Yeah, and you can fire your remote control rocket launcher thing, so you can sort of, because it's got a camera on it, and you can move it around, sort of fire it from here, and then just sort of, nope, this way, round here, boom. Because if he sees it, I think he shoots it out the air. It's kind of an interesting little fight, but it is, as Kiro said, if you're sort of prone to tension, it'll be a bit much, maybe. His huffing breath and radar seem to get faster, at least. Just running around with something you'd find mounted on a vehicle or as an emplacement. Absolutely, he's strong. Yeah. So that's the thing. That's the thing. What happens? Naturally, because I'm me. I can't draw that. Because action is action. Maybe I can draw something from that. I don't know. You always use mines and then remote control missiles. I think I always use the mines as well. Claymores. Are there really mines called claymores? Because claymore's a sword, isn't it? I believe that's what the mines are called in this game. Anywho. I think they're called claymores. Now it is the time for the obligatory, let's look over the body of a dying person. Claymores are directional mines. Oh, I see. And non-directional mines are called claylesses. Maybe they blow up and shoot swords up to you? I mean, a lot of... you see those, like, sea mines that have got, like, the big spiky things sticking out? Are they swords? They do have a directional radar field in this game. Yeah. So yeah, you do the fight, and then he dies. Well, he doesn't die. He capitulates, what with the being shot multiple times, or blown up. And as a consequence, he needs his monologue. And he starts talking about more sort of mystical bits and bobs. I believe he mentions how you and his boss are very alike. At this point, you could probably start putting things together, what with him shouting brother. And saying... When you asked, this is Wet Noodle. When you asked Wet Noodle who they were, he says, "Why don't you ask the father that you killed in Zanzibar? I'll send you to hell," so on and so forth. So, brother! Yes. So there's a foot. There's another one. It's easier to do it that way. He loves this gun. There's like a bird roughly, didn't it? Him love him gun. We've killed a lot of people so far. Well, we've killed 2 people so far. Are we going to Zanzibar yet? Nope, we're still in Alaska. Oh, well, are we going to get there today? Maybe not. With how much we're looking at dead bodies, do you think this was The Witcher? Thought you were safe in your Witcher shenanigans. Look, the amount of times I mentioned Dark Souls, I'm sure you're fine. You can mention The Witcher as much as you like. It might be traumatic to younger gamers / viewers. A little bit, yeah. So yeah, but there's some talking going on. What does he say? He says various things, some of which are kind of important. So again, like a kind of a lot of mystical sort of stuff. with regards to Noodle being not natural in a sense, like sort of not of the natural world, and they won't return to the natural world, and they've killed so many people, and those spirits are going to haunt him for the rest of his life, and so on and so forth. Like he's different. He's one with nature, and he can sort of tell these things because the ostriches let him know. Can he kill Macbeth? Good question. We'll get to that. Will we? Will we get to that? Is that this game? Maybe not. I don't know. So yeah, there's also the emblems and stuff. The bird. The nipples are covered up here. Don't worry about it. Oh no, they're there. There they are. And he's also got his big barrel that he's leaning on. I'm not exaggerating when I say it's this big. It is a big barrel. That would be a plot twist. The game ends with Noodle killing Macbeth. Yeah. You can tell the sort of thing because ostriches let him know. Yep, absolutely. Ostriches, they're all knowing. They may look stupid, but they know a lot. What are we doing? There's also straps on this because he's been wearing it. Game turns supernaturally dope all of a sudden. I mean, we've already had psychic stuff. So yeah. The later games it gets nuts. But yes, so he talks about these things. He also says he'll give us a bit of a hint with regards to what's sort of going to happen next, because he seems convinced that ultimately we're not gonna sort of find peace or anything like that. So he thinks he'll sort of help us along the way. And so he remarks that things aren't quite as they seem. What shocker. And that we have seen... I seem to remember the line is something along the line... I remember laughing at this. He said, "The person you saw die before your eyes." At which point you have to work out which of the many, many people you have seen die before your eyes. He just says, "the person." You always need to judge a protagonist by whether or not they'd be able to kill Macbeth. So yes, the person you saw die before your eyes was not in fact the person you thought it was. Cue montage of people dying while Noodle stares into the distance. It's like a 5-minute montage. So yeah, he says the person you saw die before your eyes was not in fact the person you thought it was. He is referring to Jeff Headstrong. Do you remember back then? Do you remember the very first person we saw die before our eyes? Had a heart attack. Also had a detachable head. That's unrelated. The person that we found in the prison cell when we were being tortured, and it looked like he was already rotting, even though he died like 20 minutes ago. Out of all people, you were not thinking of Jeff. I know, that's why it's funny. So yeah, he says, that was, in fact... do you have a name? I mean, this is the character who's already dead, so it doesn't really matter too much. I guess you should. What about the people he saw die before his eyes in Zanzibar? Were they not the people he thought? I mean, we've already ascertained that one of those people is also not dead, so because they came back as a weird ninja. Dead guy number 1. Your problematic son, yeah. Look at these weird proportions. What's going on? I'm not going to fix that. I'm going to leave it like that. Something funny about just the sort of wonkiness of that. Did anyone actually die in Zanzibar, or has this all been lies? I guess Big Boss also died in Zanzibar. I think, yeah, we killed Big Boss, didn't we? And given that the terrorists are calling for the remains of Big Boss, probably a safe bet that he's dead. Oh yeah, spaghetti, sorry. Sorry, what was I thinking? Of course I meant spaghetti. So, yeah, spaghetti died. Remember how the terrorists were listed one by one in episode 1? Yes. So do you remember how there was a heavy weapons expert sitting in front of us? There was a sniper expert, who we've just killed. There was a psychic, who is also dead. There was a gunslinger, who's had his hand cut off. There was the leader of the gang, who we have shot down in a helicopter. And there was a master of disguise. Do you remember that 7 weeks ago? That was who actually died. And they were impersonating Jeff Headstrong, which is a fantastic impersonation if you can take your head off. That's what really made me laugh when somebody suggested that. It's one hell of a disguise, I know. In the game, I believe the line is that he copies the person that they're impersonating down to the blood. They take blood transfusions and put the blood inside themselves, which is why the body was already decomposing, because it didn't have any blood in it. I suppose in this they also decided to detach their head, which is really impressive. I know. It's very good. Well done, you. Sorry you had to die of a heart attack. It's committing to the bit. Yeah, it's very, very, very dedicated. It's just one of those instances where in the game it's quite extreme, but somehow we managed to make it worse. So there we go. All you can think of is Face Off. I believe there is a flashback where Funbird goes into the room where not Jeff Headstrong is dead and pulls off a fake face. So, kind of. Doesn't look like John Travolta underneath. Looks quite sort of old and withered. The real Jeff died before Noodle ever got there. Yes. So do you remember ages ago, we had a flashback to, why you're walking very strangely. How do their legs work? They work really weird, don't they? We had a flashback to people saying, "Oh no, you went too far, and now he's dead. Now we'll never be able to do the thing we wanted to do," so on and so forth. They were talking about Jeff Headstrong. Jeff Headstrong died during interrogation, and the idea that was come up with during there was for our Master of Disguise to take their place, and as a consequence, try and get information out of us. Because they knew we were coming, I guess. They knew someone was going to get sent. Yeah, you do that. But he died of a heart attack. He died of a heart attack. As did several other people. Master of Disguise, Nicholas Travolta. Nicholas Travolta sounds weird. Strain of the Torture, this different person. So, Jeff Headstrong, the real Jeff Headstrong, died from the torture before we got here. Bullet and accidentally killed Jeff while interrogating before Jeff told them what they were looking for, so they decided to do this. So the Master of Disguise pretended to be Jeff and died of a heart attack while they were talking to us. That's what happened. I like duckbills. I like that. So yeah, that's a relatively important piece of information. That one of the very first people we met here was not the person we thought they were. Twists! So many twists. He didn't actually get any information and popped off his head for nothing. It seems a bit of a shame. Even if he did get any information, he certainly couldn't have passed it on, because he passed on. This is a weird episodic fanfic. It's Kojima. It's Hideo Kojima. I like these long ducks. I refuse to look up what an ostrich looks like. Where is the Master of Disguise right now? Dead. Had a heart attack. Later games are even weirder. To be fair, well, actually no. I was about to say 2's less weird, but that's not really true. It's very weird at the end. But like the people in it are kind of less weird. That makes sense. There's a couple that are. Like it's just a guy on roller skates. Like, not really that weird. It's weird, but it's not supernatural or anything like that. It was super weird, yeah. Which is the best part, to be fair. Oh, you were thinking of his body? I don't know. What did they give him? Gave him a decent burial, I guess. For the ways to go out, he just gets a heart attack. Yeah. Fat man, so bizarre. Fun fact, that's looking up why Fat Man in Metal Gear Solid 2 was called Fat Man, led me to discover that the person who... Was it the person who designed the latch or the person who activated the latch on one of the... I think it was Fat Man, which was the name of one of the bombs dropped on Japan at the end of World War II, was called William Parsons. So that's a bit of a weird family thing. I don't believe it's a direct relation, but anyway, thank you, Metal Gear Solid 2. You made me feel slightly guilty about millions of Japanese people dying. Seems like a waste of a good character. I know, right? Master of Disguise. You can do a lot of stuff like that in an espionage thing, but no. Heart attack. You get one twist, that's it. A twist that you've forgotten about already. Yeah. That's not Metal Gear Solid's fault, is it? Parsons is a common name, it's fine. So yeah, yeah, he says that. He discloses how, you know, that's a thing. I think we ask a question back and he says, I'm not going to tell you anymore. What question do we ask back? Can't remember. What information did they want, I guess? Fun fact, a beloved musician and entertainer in Denmark called himself Master Fat Man. Good for him. It at least is thematically appropriate in Metal Gear Solid 2, because they're all about bombs. What they were looking for, maybe, don't remember. Yeah, I mean, the point being that he doesn't disclose further information, so obviously we don't know what it is. So I believe at this point there's a really weird... It's not often the stage direction in this game is a bit strange, as it were, but at this point we continue the conversation while walking away. I don't know why, we just do. Like in terms of like why Noodle would do that, but it does make sense in terms of what's actually happening, because yeah, the traumatic parts now, because Funbird is about to return to nature. Ooh, what was that? That is peace. Yeah, they're about to become one with nature again. And how do you do that? Well, you let your birds eat you. So, through the rest of this conversation, Funbird is being eaten by ostriches. Which is why it kind of happens off screen. There's a lot of pain. Sky burial, yeah. No bones left. They ate everything. They are ravenous, these things. Which I suppose is ravenous. They were ravens in the original thing. I suppose that makes sense. That's where we get the word from, I guess. Or is that why we call ravens ravens? I don't know. Which came first, ravenous or raven? Don't trust ostriches, I guess. They'll eat your bones, I know. So yeah, we are left with just a big old barrel and a gun. I wouldn't mind, but we also walk in the opposite direction of where we're supposed to go, because he died next to the door we want to leave through. There's probably got a trigger, right? Little handle. We'll think of him every time a bird poops. I believe he says something along the lines of, "You'll be forever haunted. You're unnatural. You'll be forever haunted by the bodies that you've left behind you in your wake. And I'll be watching you from above, or wherever it is ostriches are. Probably from eye level. I'll be watching you from eye level." Was he already dead when the ostriches sounded? No. He was talking while this was happening. The dialogue continues, in a slightly pained fashion. It sounded like he wasn't, and you're dearly hoping you interpreted that wrong. No, he continues talking right up until the moment that his body isn't there. So, and this is why we walk away, so that we don't have to look at that. This is why Kiro said it was traumatic. Remember, this is on the PS1, so everything's polygons. So we kind of... a lot's left up to the imagination, but if your imagination is strong... Why birds? Why? It's nature. Returning to nature. The Alaskan ostrich. Suddenly the ladle death doesn't seem so bad anymore. True. I guess. It's been a bleak stream. You beat somebody to death with a ladle. And then this guy just got eaten alive. Oh dear. Even with polygons it's rough. There are like red particle spurts and stuff. Well, not particles, you can't do that on PlayStation 1. Sprite animations. Don't know which came first, but Merriam-Webster says this. Ooh, etymology, yeah. To be fair, we've already talked about some quite horrible stuff. This game is not, what's the rating on this? Hang on, back in a sec. Okay, so it's 15 up, apparently, so you can't play this unless you're 15 years old. Yeah. According to the 1992 age rating system. 1994, sorry. So, although a raven could be described as ravenous, the words are unrelated. One could present a plausible case that ravens appear particularly avid or hungry when eating, though in nature it's hard to imagine that any animal doesn't. True. After all, the crow is used to mean to brag exultantly or blatantly, and magpie has been used as a verb meaning to pilfer or hoard. Since wolf is used as a verb based on its eating habits, why not raven? The answer is etymology is based on linguistic history, not wishes. That's a very flowery etymological entry. So yeah, if there's anybody watching the stream, I mean, my stream I think is rated as like 16 plus or something like that, so you should be old enough to play this game if you're watching this stream. So it's not, but it could be. I don't know. The words are unrelated. It says at the beginning the words are unrelated, but it says at the end, what? Why not use raven to mean eating, ravenous? Like, they say at the beginning no, and they say at the end maybe. Rated O for ostrich. Well, I suggest we use the new word ostriches to mean so hungry you could eat an entire very muscular person. Bones and all. Apparently raven is Germanic and ravenous is Latin. Oh, interesting. Love it. It's very specific. Yes, it's when you know when you say I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. It's a bit like that. If English isn't your first language and you've never heard that expression, that is an expression. And it's not literal. Yeah. So that happened. I'm not watching that. And then when I hold shift, a line appears across the screen. We get a phone call. But both Germanic languages and Latin stem from Indo-European, so it still could be. Possibly. You don't usually eat horses? Not knowingly. I can't remember the last time I bought any meat at Iceland. There we go. Christy's got it. Yeah, so I like it when I do a joke, then look down at chat and realise somebody's already done that joke. So, I feel like I'm copying you, even though I didn't see it. So we got a phone call. Because of course we do. From Master C Glasses, who says, "Hey, Noodle, done some digging. Do you mind putting your phone on private again so that people don't sort of listen into this conversation?" Auto-saving. At which point, Colonel Corn goes, what? What's all this about a private phone conversation? And Master C Glasses goes, well, that's annoying. Okay, in that case, Colonel, is Valen there right now? Why isn't our phone standardly on private? I don't know. People keep interrupting our phone calls willy-nilly. It's really weird. We're a great spy, I know. So it says, yes, is Valen there? And Colonel Corn says, hang on, let's just save time. And Colonel Corn says, no, actually, she just popped out conveniently. I mean, you should know about convenience. Of all people. Noodle is constantly in Discord group call without realising. Yes, he left the microphone on. Is Valen there? Valen has entered group chat. But to Discording, yeah. Yeah, so he says, that's okay. Like, you can listen in on this. That's absolutely fine. Just make sure Valen doesn't hear. I've done some digging. Valen isn't Valen. In fact, there isn't anybody called Valen, at least not anymore. Valen died, let's say in Zanzibar. Why not? let's keep the meme going. There was somebody, a scientist called Valen, who died in Zanzibar at some point. Aliens took Zanzibar. And the person who is there, who is doing your scientific research, who calls themselves Valen, isn't Valen. They must have taken the paperwork somehow and taken their identity. I don't know who they are. I don't know who they're working for. But it's clear that this is an issue. Poor Valen. Which Valen? Real Valen or fake Valen? So yeah, I would suggest and this is just me, I would suggest arresting the person who is pretending to be somebody else and is in a position to influence a thing like this of international importance. They're Valin, a totally different person, absolutely. Everyone's just been saying it wrong. You can just ask and see where it takes you, yeah. So, yeah. Sea glasses. This conversation is really between sea glasses and Corn. I don't know why we were involved. Thanks, convenient. Why couldn't you have been slightly more convenient earlier? Yeah, so he says, I'd suggest arresting this person because I don't know who they are. They could be a spy. They could be working... I mean, they used to work for Foxhound, and Foxhound is the name of the organisation that's involved in this whole terrorist thing. You know, maybe that's a bit of a problem. Why didn't you see that? Oh, wait, hang on, no, you... Both Colonel Corn and Noodle were but also part of Foxhound at one point. Okay, maybe that's a bad example, but... this is going to be a Nicholas Travolta thing. Is that what we're going to call Nicholas Travolta? Fair enough. Valen was Jeff Headstrong all along. Ooh. Everyone is the same person. Like, Noodle is the only other person here. Everyone else is the same person. Valen is the dead father. Valen died in Zanzibar 3 times. So yeah, I'm trying. It's very complicated. Everyone's the master of disguise except Noodle, who is very easily fooled. Do you remember briefly what the heck's happening? Were you here when somebody got eaten alive by ostriches? Is that a thing that you were here for? No. Okay. Someone got eaten alive by ostriches. Nicholas Travolta was spaghetti. These are sentences that are coming out of these streams. You left as Noodle was walking away from Funbird. Okay, that was what was happening when he was walking away from Funbird. Funbird was being eaten alive by their ostriches. To return to nature as they were dying. But they were talking while this was happening, so it's can't have been comfortable. Funbird is now many Funbirds, yes. Valen is false. She's Val anything but. No. Lives on in bird poops, indeed. He'll be looking at us from above, and then rapidly coming down, and then splatting on our head. Well, yes, and we've just found out, Convenient Glasses has just phoned up and said, I've been doing some digging, and Valen isn't Valen. Valen is a scientist who died in Zanzibar, let's say, many, many years ago. And this person is an imposter who has taken their identity and is infiltrating what you're doing. I don't know who she's working for. I don't know what purpose this is for. But at the very least, you should probably arrest her and stop her from carrying on doing this mission. At which point Korn says, but she's really important to this mission. She's the one who set up all the sciencey stuff. It's like, look, who knows what sort of things she set up in the sciencey stuff you don't know about. Arrest her. Why not? At which point, we chime in and go, well, you keep hiding secrets from me. I guess this is comeuppance, I suppose. What a rubbish bar. Poor reviews, people keep dying in it. Yeah. Oh dear. It would have been a good use of the character if now you found out that was the Jeff Headstrong imitator. It would have been a good use for the character for them to do anything, really. You should open a bar and call it Zanzibar. And only sell drinks themed around death. Yeah, so that's happening, and Colonel Korn wanders off in a huff that all of his secrets have now... all the secrets that we know of have now been told, and it turns out that his chief scientific officer may or may not be a spy. But certainly isn't the person who they say they are. Everyone just dies there. It'll be great. Fantastic for business. Bars don't rely on returning customers, right? So yeah, that happens, and then Colonel Korn goes off somewhere to arrest Valen. Ooh. And we end the call. There we go. There's the ostriches with their mouths full. You see the Death Headstrong body, the real one, in the cell. At the same time, you're discussing private things with Valen. Build up with convenience, saying things are wrong with Valen. Reveal the Master of Disguise by Funbird, and then the unmasking of Valen. Yeah. Am I sensing a Chibi AU? Which is closer to just a rewrite. Because in ghost shows, humans have no self-preservation whatsoever. It would make more sense. There's a lot of things that would make more sense than this. A man just got eaten alive by ostriches. So, yeah. You don't go to a game by Hideo Kojima for sense. It is impossible for Hideo Kojima to make sense. You go to his stuff for the fact that it is ostrich shit insane. It's like batshit, but different. Does that ostrich have a human knee? Ostrich's legs are strange. I don't. If that's the only part of the anatomy you're worrying about, I'm doing all right. Maybe not sense, but like it wouldn't waste a perfectly good character. Yeah. You can just throw more characters in. That's the Hideo Kojima way. Just throw more in. It's fine. Right. Yes. So we now continue. We get out of the freezer because it's pretty nippy in here, and Valen's being arrested. Off screen. So what do we do now? This is your brain all the time with your favourite TV shows. Yeah. Wouldn't it make actual sense if this? This is why the one thing I can actually do, the one time I can switch my brain off is when watching TV. For some reason I have the ability to just not analyse. I can do it all the time in hindsight. I can pick things apart in hindsight, but I learned to switch it off when watching. Because I had to enjoy Inside Number 9, which is all about twists, and I kept seeing the twists coming, and I had to teach myself that it's not fun to see the twists coming. Just go along for the ride, you know? Gonna make an AU, but it's just the Master of Disguise. Yeah, just write a story entirely based on Nicholas Travolta. Yeah, so, okay. We do an important thing now. We go into a warehouse. We have to call him Nicholas Travolta. No one else came up with a better name. I like how, given Kink Vader, James Bondage, Beach Latit, it's Nicholas Travolta is the one you argue against. I think Mr. Joke around that one so you don't get it. Oh, it's a reference to Face Off. We killed King Vader, didn't we? No, King Vader's still running around, doing stuff. They flew off after telling us something about how they liked being punched. You don't know that? It's a film in which John Travolta and Nicolas Cage play two characters who kind of swap bodies, as it were. Or swap faces, swap identities. So you get John Cage pretending to be John Cage. That's a composer. Nicolas Cage pretending to be John Travolta, and John Travolta pretending to be Nicolas Cage. It's very camp. You're saying if somebody did like a face merge of Travolta and Cage, as they do a lot with Cage and redoing the face off. Yeah. They're trying to kill each other. Yeah, one of them's like a police detective person or like a whatever, and one of them's a crime lord. It's difficult to say which because they spend half the film with different faces. Nicholas Travolta, yes, it's Nicolas Cage. John Travolta. John Cage is a composer. Don't ignore that. What does camp mean? Oh, how would you describe camp? In this particular instance, I'm using camp basically to mean hammy, to mean sort of like very silly and overacted. That's probably not the best use of the word camp. I don't know, how would you describe camp? Also a character in Mortal Kombat. Really? Does the round last 4 minutes and 33 seconds? What's this? Why is that there? Oh, it's almost the end of the stream, blimey. Let's do that for a sec. Kind of corny, but in a good way, sort of. It's sort of kind of slightly over the top, kind of silly, sort of like knowingly over the top and silly. Yeah, it's tricky. You were legit asking because Witcher has been called Camp Game of Thrones. Oh, okay. So sort of like taking itself less seriously, a little bit more sort of sense of humour, I guess. Whereas Game of Thrones tries to take itself uber seriously. I guess. I don't know. I know very little of both. I don't know. Basically, you walk into a hangar and you see Metal Gear Rex. And now I need to draw Metal Gear Rex. I don't draw mechs. I don't know what I'm doing. Isn't there like a kind of... like sort of shouldery thing? You mean post Game of Thrones everything gets compared to Game of Thrones? You say that. I haven't heard anyone talk about it since it stopped. It just sort of vanished. During Game of Thrones everything was compared to Game of Thrones. There's like some stuff there, there's like a sort of thing there, and then like a sort of gun of some description. You don't draw mechs, I don't know what you're doing. You every time Dark comes near you with a drawing request. I mean... oh, that's the point, Dark. I need to ask you about colour choices. Remind me after the stream. Oh, fantasy TV show wise. Oh, okay, I suppose that's probably still quite sort of fresh in that respect. See, this is one thing that the PlayStation 1 is good at. Clunky looking robots. I should probably adjust the scale of this. This looks nothing like it, it's fine, don't worry about it. Does it have more guns? Probably has more guns. So let's stick another gun here, why not? It's also got like scaffolding over it at the moment. or like walkways and things with sort of ladders going up. So this is the big old nuclear weapon launch thing that they were talking about. Thing that they've been testing in secret. Work, I thought you never said about colour, did you? Yeah. This gives you the Final Fantasy VII demo PTSD. Now we did the FF7 draw through. I drew Guard Scorpion with a plunger for some reason. Should we give this a plunger? Why not? Keep it thematic. It's got everything else. Plunger with a scope. So yeah, there's like sort of ladders going up it. Sort of walkways erected around it. Who knows what the perspective is on this particular thing? Oop. Yeah, it's a weird thing. Also, for some reason, I think there's like a drainage ditch somewhere. Sort of flowing water or something. Could have just drawn a robo dog with its name. True. You haven't drawn any mechs in your life, and only 2 robots, one of them being Graham in a wedding dress. But you do find colouring metals very satisfying. That's the thing I'm struggling with at the moment. Yeah, if you can actually make some sense of metal, do it. It's hard. Now drawing shinies, yeah. There is a drainage ditch, yeah. But it's fun. Marvellous, excellent. Anyway, yeah, there's all this going on with stuff. So we have found Metal Gear Rex. We have found the thing that the game is named after. That's great. And now we have an awful lot of platforming to do. Before we end, let's just talk about this place. We do the obvious thing. There we go. The name is named after, absolutely. We phone up Colonel Korn and say, I found the thing. I found the thing that the game is named after. And he goes, fantastic. And we say, bit of a weird thing. Room's a bit empty. I was kind of expecting like hundreds of guards and stuff. To which he says, "Oh, that's not great." And Uwu pops in. There he is, and he says, "Oh dear, that's not a good sign, because that probably means they're ready to launch or something like that. Like they're getting everyone out of the way." Yeah. We need to kind of hurry up. I'm gonna look up how to deactivate this thing as best I can, because I know you only have one of the 3 key cards that we need to turn this thing off. So I'll look up stuff while you're climbing ladders and walking along walkways, and we'll sort something out, and we'll do that next time. Boom. It's quiet. Yes, I know. It's not a great thing to be sort of underneath a massive device used to launch nuclear weapons when no one else is around. It's like, what am I missing? Bit scary. So, exciting times. We've killed 2 people. Well, we killed 1 person, and then some ostriches did the other one. But, yeah. I assume Uwu has gotten over their post-traumatic stress from having seen the person they love being beaten to death with a ladle. But, yeah, thank you for coming along to the stream. These are always fun. I'm glad I'm learning to say yes. I'm glad I'm learning to, whenever anyone says a very silly idea, just go, yeah, sure, let's make it work. It's very fun. We've phoned Colonel Corn so much. He's our person in command, you know? Laughed a lot in this stream. Yeah, I'm glad. That's what it's about. It's trying to be silly and make fun of silly things. He's our dad. No, that's spaghetti. And they're dead. They died in Zanzibar. Highlight over. Yeah, that's very nice to hear. Well, it's not. I mean, I would prefer it to be slightly lower down the list, and thus it would imply that there are better things in your week, which would be great. I'd like to think that your week is full of nice things, but I'm glad I could help at the very least. For some reason, Noodle beating a person to death with a ladle is very funny to you. I mean, yeah. Should we do that in Dark Souls 2? Should we do a ladle run? Don't, it's the worst weapon in the game. It's a ladle. I've seen someone do a ladle run. It's not easy. To be fair, I am in the middle of a no healing run, so it'd probably be slightly easier than that. Yeah. So, thank you for coming along. I'm glad people enjoy these. I do. Tomorrow, we will be continuing with... I need to fix that. That's a bit aligned properly. Am I joking? On what? Most of the time, yes. Yes, we're going to be doing Ori again. Next time, we will actually make progress this time, rather than me just going around and picking stuff up. And then on Saturday, we have Creative Stream. Don't know what we're going to do yet. Something different. It's been a while since we've done a boss brush. Might do one of those. Who knows? Ladle run. You can do a ladle run. You get a ladle. A ladle is a special. It's a hidden weapon, but you can get it quite early on. Owery. Yes. Ow. 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 Dead. Yeah. So more of that tomorrow. Creative on Saturday. Maybe boss brush or something along those lines. Haven't done one of those sort of formatted ones for a while. For some reason, you keep seeing that little drawing of Kieran and the crispy facts. Always makes you feel really happy. Oh. Well, when the stream finishes, you can see the rest of that picture because it's part of the little montage thing. That's my away screen. That's cool. Also, fun fact I discovered just before I started streaming, Mixer now has an auto-host feature. So I have now stuck all my friends on auto-host so that when you stream, you should automatically be hosted to my channel. Yay. You just did that. Yeah, it's cool. So, yeah. Too many drawing ideas. Oh, yeah. But it's always good to see the chibi draws. Yeah. So, yes. Ori tomorrow, probably chibi stream on Thursday. Creative something or other on Saturday. More Rio on Sunday, and then back to this on Tuesday next week. So, yeah. Coming out here with the compliments attacking you like that. I mean, sorry if the truth hurts. Have a wonderful time, everyone. Enjoy yourselves. I'll see you soon. Bye.